the point of that?
Hello, good evening. So, we are back with another edition of our JR Ward Brotherhood chat. I don't know why I'm being so long-winded right now. The shadows. So, this one, of course, you know, is Selena and Trez's story. So, Trez Latimer doesn't really exist, and not just because the identity. Oh, I forgot to introduce ourselves.
All right. Girl, just roll
I think
with
it's
it.
just because of this book. We're all off today. Don't worry.
We'll do that after.
Go ahead and read it.
Trez Latimer doesn't exist. And not just because the identity was created so that the shadow could function in the underbelly of the human world. Sold by his parents to the Queen of the Hisby as a child, Trez escaped the territory and has been a pimp and an enforcer in Codwell, New York for years, all the while on the run from the destiny of sexual servitude. He's never had anyone he could really rely on, except for his brother, I Am. I Am's sole goal has always been to keep his brother from self-destructing. He knows he's failed. It's not until the chosen Selena enters Trez's life that the male begins to turn things around. But by then, it's too late. The pledge to mate the queen's daughter comes due, and there is nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, and no negotiating. Trapped between his heart and fate he never volunteered for, Trez must decide whether to endanger himself and others, or forever leave behind the female he's in love with. But then an unimaginable tragedy strikes and everything changes. Staring out over an emotional abyss, Trez must find a reason to go on, or risk losing himself and his soul forever. And I Am, in the name of brotherly love, is faced with making the ultimate sacrifice.
Fucking tears, bro.
This book was horrible.
And I'm
So hard.
And you guys are?
Oh, shit. I was busy crying. I'm a Liza man.
And I'm Sage Shelley.
So the theme, I guess, of this chat is fuck you, death. So,
as you can see, it was we decided to be in mourning. Thank you, Eliza, for suggesting us to come here in our black clothes because we were in desperate mourning with this book.
Still fucked up.
This book. I haven't cried that, over a book, I haven't cried that hard. These people are like our friends, our family. And just the heart-wrenching page after page, it just was too much. So, but we're going to dive right in regardless. So, basically God, where do you even start? I'm so sorry.
I know, everybody was miserable. Like, everybody was miserable. Like, who do we want to start with first?
Right.
Well, we can kind of start like where, so V and Trez and Range are at the Shadows Club because of a lesser that had shown up with some drugs on him that a sale was selling. So that had his mark on it. But that's kind of besides the point. We'll get back to a sale, of course, much later in our discussion.
Naturally.
But Rage was just saying to Trez, you look like you haven't fed in a while. Isn't that what happened? You don't look like you've fed in a while. And, you should feed. And, Selena's got some really, really good blood. And, of course,
she got that good.
Mate. Trez,
he probably shouldn't have told her.
He got his bonded mail, and he basically he outs a dagger, puts it up to Rage's throat, was like, "Take that back, motherfucker." So this was the first time that the Brotherhood found out about Rage's bond to Selena. Why hadn't they noticed that before, you think?
Trez's bond. You like Rage's bond to Selena. I think because he had really been like hiding out from her. He hadn't been around the Brotherhood with Selena. And even when he was kind of like dodgy, right? Because he was thinking that she didn't really care for him and all of that. So this happened like in rapid fire of a time period that he kind of met her and then he was away from her. And then, he had already bonded to her. So when they finally saw him again and just mentioned her, it was just that fast, and he blew his little wad right there. So I think it was just they hadn't seen him,
I agree. He and he even said I was avoiding everyone. Like I couldn't. He explained to them I couldn't even like think of her giving you guys blood, and I'm in the house. I don't want to hurt one of you guys. I don't want to fight with one of you guys. So I like just stayed out, and that was mainly why, because he knew they weren't going to be together. Because at that point they couldn't even like, be in the room together and actually, more than 5 minutes without fighting or running out. So,
yeah.
At that point, he just was like, it's not, I just can't do this. So he was hiding out.
Mm-hmm. So do you think that, so at this point, he's got the, Rage has got the dagger to his throat. Do you think it was the dagger or V or a combination of everyone that calmed the beast? Because Rage's beast was threatening to come out. His eyes started turning white, and he just, his skin started kind of undulating and all that. But but at the end, obviously his beast didn't come out because that would have been really bad. Mm-hmm. So what do you think was the calming factor in that with the beast?
I really think it was V. I think we talked about that before, like how V and Wrath before Mary, they were the only thing like preventing the beast from coming out. So, I think that was the only thing. We can talk about, the fact that he had a knife to his throat, but I think the beast don't care. He was like, I'm out, so I really think Vicious helped de-escalate the situation in his way.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't really. I kind of think. I think it was a combination of things, but I think the beast realized that he couldn't out before Rage's throat would have slashed, and Rage would have died, and then so he would have. So I think it was preservation. I can't speak today, but could be a V too. I don't know. So what do you think, Sage?
I don't know. I remembered this scene differently the first time I read it. Mm-hmm. So when we were talking about it in the past, I thought, Vicious had a calming effect on him. But with the blade to his neck, it wasn't like the same as Wrath. Wrath was like, all right, buddy, go ahead and give me back my rage. Like he was talking to the beast like one-on-one, right? Mm-hmm. Like Mary's able to. With Vicious, I don't remember another scene like that. You know what I mean? This was the only one, and I remembered it differently. I didn't remember the blade. And when I read the blade, I was like, well, shit. I came with the same conclusion as AJ. I was thinking it was the blade doing that.
Yeah, I don't think in those moments when he's about to turn, he's never been like rational before. Like the beast has never been like, oh, let me consider my surroundings. And, like he's never, it's kind of like the Incredible Hulk where, it's this, this surge of emotion and adrenaline that impacts it. So I don't see how you can like shoehorn, him, being afraid at all into that, just because, he has never given a rational thought before. Like he turned into the beast, like right in front of Mary. And yes, he was protecting Mary, but, like, I don't think I've never seen him be like, oh, this isn't the most opportune time. So I'm not gonna turn, I just don't. I mean, and it could be that the knife was there and he had like a logical moment, but I've never seen that. I just don't have anything a point of reference for that.
So you think it was like the sun's getting low kind of moment?
Mm-hmm. Right, I do. I think it was that, like totally that. And he's like, okay, let me sing you this fucking song, because I don't think the beast has like higher level thinking, except for when it comes to Mary. That's the only time we've ever seen that, and Mary was definitely not there. So,
Okay. So another part of the scene was the scribe bird. I think there was a break in the scene, but you come back to this where the scribe virgin comes to the room and comes to get Trez because she had found Selena on the ground at the sanctuary. Why do you think that she did that?
I don't know. She's a fucking crazy bitch. All right. The Sky Virgin is a crazy fucking bitch. Like, why go get the guy when maybe you can do something about it? If your daughter can fucking heal and your son could do some healing ass powers too, you can do something, bitch. Why haven't you done something? I don't get it. Sorry. That's my piece.
Tell us how you really feel.
Moving on.
Like, no, let's just hear how.
Yes, this book, man, everything.
I know.
So mad.
It's so sad, you know. But okay, so I think she has had some time to think about how her actions have led to pain and suffering in others. So right now she's lost her daughter, she's lost her son, and they really don't have like a chance of, you know, a reunion at this point in the series. Like, they're kind of just like, fuck her, you know. And I think, you know, sure, he gave her the birds and all that shit, but I think their relationship is still damaged. And I think that's given her opportunity to see how her absolute way of thinking, like this tunnel vision that she has, like there's light and dark and there's balance and there's this. I think she's had some time to say, okay.
There's a good imitation of her.
All right. Everything is not the way, you know, I intended it to be. Everything doesn't have to be black and white. Yes, he's a shadow. Yes, there's never been anyone in the sanctuary, but let me do this one good thing, right? Because I haven't made a lot of right choices in the past. So I think I want to give her the benefit of the doubt because, you know, I know she's supposed to be like this, you know, benevolent creature, but a lot of times the things that she does has such adverse effects on people. I think she's had time to think about that. At least that's what I'm hoping happen. Like, that's the one good thing about the Sky Virgin right now. That's it.
So
didn't she feel like she's like a shadow of what she used to be. Like, she's a shadow compared to the beam of light that she used to be. I mean, even with, you know, like Trez was like, who are you? They're like, don't question her. She's like, whatever. Just come.
Yeah. Well, you know, her light is dimming. And, you know, while people still believe in her, I think faith is waning because, you know, they had the raids. That was like an all-time low point for the vampire race. And I think faith is waning for her. And I think that one of the sources of her power, see, this is me making up all this alternative reality shit that wasn't in the book, but I really believe that because people are losing faith in her and, you know, she don't have the chosen around her to give her energy and light, I don't think her power is as strong as it once was because she needs that belief system. You know what I mean?
I agree to an extent, but I think it's also it's her inner light, right? So I feel like she lost, like you mentioned, you know, her and Vicious were making some segue when he brought her the birds and all of that, and you know, he was grateful because she saved his Shellin, but their relationship completely crashed once he found out about pain. And that's why it's unsolvable. Like, it'll never be. It's just, she has lost her children. You're right. Her chosen are gone. And I think that she feels like a failure. And I think that's why her light is also dimming.
Yeah, but I think she's narcissistic enough to need people around worshiping her. She's just crazy enough to be like, I need everybody around me to like love me forever. And I don't think she's used to not having that.
I don't know if it's that or it's just that she needs an adjustment period to realize, you know, that being that micromanaging of your creation is not a good thing, you know, because it could backfire on you. And she wanted to control so much of it, like how she controlled the chosen and how they were pretty much like, I remember Beth, you know, referred to him as a cult, you know, and it's like, I think she just needs to realize, and I think she needs to learn. She's you know, I don't know, maybe she's trying to learn or something, but I don't know. So
Oh,
this
yeah.
is the saddest thing happened. So Trez goes with the scribe virgin to the sanctuary, and he, you know, picks Selena up off the ground, and she's in one of her attacks. And prior to this, we know she has got an illness that she's possibly going to pass away from, and she's just he's just devastated by this. And once he finds out, you know, they question the chosen, and this is she has the arrest, you know, like Cormier and Layla came and visited her, you know, because they saw that she was sick and in the clinic, and she has the arrest. And Trez, once he finds this out, he just loses it, and he runs out of the clinic room, and he's in the hallway, and he's got a gun up to his head. Do you think that he really would have shot himself if I am hadn't stopped him?
Yeah.
Yeah. He probably was out of there. I think
Yeah.
I think he just didn't have nothing else to live for at that point in his mind. Like I finally got something that's my own. Of course I get a phone call like right in the middle of everything. Cause you know, we can't have like a night when that doesn't happen. But I think he unfortunately he feels like there's nothing there. It's like that all is lost moment. And you know, I'm gonna have to go back to the Sahib. First time I've ever really known love. It's the only thing that I've ever had. And I'm losing it. And I'm bonded. What would I do without her? So I think he was going to definitely shoot himself, regardless of what else was going on. And it was, I'm sorry. I'm still fucked up. Go ahead, Sage, because I don't want to.
No, I agree. He wasn't
like
in the right
bawling.
headspace, right? Like he wasn't even in the, I know. He wasn't even in the right headspace to think like, well, let me at least be here while she's here. Like, you know, like if I, you know, let me at least spend whatever time I have left with her, then do it. He couldn't even have that if it wasn't for I am even saying that to him. Yeah, he just would have went and did it because he didn't even realize it was in his hand. Like he's
Yeah.
like, what are you talking about? Oh, this was in my hand. You know, he didn't even know.
Well, and I think that was a bonded male reaction. That's he didn't know, and a lot of times they have reactions. Like when he first brought her to the clinic, he was like growling, and they were like, you know, put her on the bed so we can examine her. And he had to be like force himself to do it because he was just growling, and he was just like, nope, I'm protecting her. I don't, you know, because he didn't know what was wrong with her at that point and what was going on and all that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's definitely an instinct.
And you know, and I am just says to him, look, you know, be here until she's no longer here. You know, you can't just take off. And so he was like, oh, okay. So yeah.
I think I am thought that for like a while because later on in the book he says, you know, once she's gone, I don't even know if he's gonna be around, you know. Gosh, I'm still getting calls. He was like, once she's gone, I don't know if there'll even be much left of him. He told the princess that, unbeknownst to him, that was the princess. But I don't know if I am had enough faith in him to think he could pull himself out of it, because Tress had always been a little bit one-sided anyway, you know.
And a little reckless too, right?
Yeah.
So,
So
a little bit more than little, but
right.
Talking about Selena's disease a little bit, which was a genetic disorder that was a recessive gene that some of the other children had gotten. Do you think that if Annie and Jane had had more time, they could have found some sort of cure or some sort of life prolonging procedure or medicine or something?
Honestly, I don't think so. I think it's like a cancer type of thing, you know, and you know, it's horrible, right? But I don't think they would have been able to, you know, just quickly resolve that. I think it would probably take years and years of research, and because they don't have like enough people to draw samples from, I took it to the medical profession, but I don't think they had enough like people that could you know, do a study on for them to be able to do that. So I don't think so. I think, you know, it's something that would have to be fixed through having access to like additional cells, additional
Oh.
samples.
So that kind of leads me to another question. Why didn't the Sky Virgin help her? Why didn't she fix this genetic issue that was going on? I mean, yeah, you
You
can't.
see the look on my face?
Yeah.
That's my question. Why you are this all-powerful being? They are your people, your creation. So you've had all these little women, these females as statues in all these different positions, all over, and you never thought about figuring out what in your creation was like you couldn't fix, like you couldn't figure that out. Did you not care enough? Like, did you not care enough? Did you not care? Like,
isn't that the problem with like every religion's whoever in every religion worships? That's the problem, right? Because the God that you know folks serve, whoever or whatever form that may be, these things happen, and you can't really, you know, fix everything, because again, there is balance. I don't like this answer, but I think that's the reason why, because she can't fix everything, you know, and I
why do you
think
think
that's
it's
why
do you think it's just a chosen? I mean, it's got to be. Is it like inbreeding?
Because in all that perfection, first of all, the Scribe Virgin is very much about balance, and we know that. But in all that perfection that she created, the chosen are perfect beings. They are beautiful, every single one of them. They are, you know, just pure perfection. When they see them, they like, oh my God, Jesus, they are so good. Look, you know, like they have everything. And I think in all that perfection, in order to balance it out, you had to have something, right? So in order for there to be, you know, for them to exist, there had to be something that would impact them.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that makes sense, but I don't like it.
I don't like it either. I don't like it, but that's what I rationalized in my head. And I'm like, you suck, Scribe Virgin.
Okay. We need to make this a little less depressing right now. So
yeah, let's lift it up, please.
We only have like a couple of moments that we can talk about, so like let's spread them out.
we got Selena and Trez in the boudoir. Hey, baby. She is like, we're doing this now. Drop your pants. I mean, pretty much, you know. And so their sex is like, I mean, is it hotter than any couple? What do you think contributes to that? Is it just desperation? Is Selena just a freer because she's like she wants to experience life to its fullest, and she's just lost all her inhibitions? What is the issue with Trez? I'm not saying like she's doing with other people. Obviously, she loves.
No, I get what you're saying.
I mean, what do you think contributes to that?
Go ahead, Sage. You go first.
For me, it was the hottest sex, I think, in the series, right? So out of all the books so far, it was the most passionate. And I think it's a little bit of both of what you said. So it's a little bit of the desperation. I can see that because you don't know when the last time is going to be. And I also believe that her inhibitions were completely gone. Like she's just like, whatever, let's do this. And you know, and I was trained as an arrow, so let me figure this out. Let me have some fun. And I really enjoyed it because she just was just free, just completely free.
I would agree with that. I think from her side, she was like, anytime could be the last time. So I need to get all the living I can done before my life is cut short. And for Trez, I feel like that was the first time that he had ever had to wait for any woman. I think her reaction to him kind of was like, what? Like, what? Like, you don't want me? And I think when he finally let himself go there, like everything culminated, and then he could lose her, right? So I think that was all playing a part in their attraction to each other, and it just came out, and it just poured out. It was like liquid energy. Shit, I was horny after
But you know what else too
And,
with
you know,
Trez?
wow, it was really, really good.
But you know what else too, when you were talking about Trez, and I just thought of this. I remember, like, I feel like he was certain things that she actually, Selena said it too. She was like, he was making memories. Like he was, there were moments where she felt like he prolonged stuff because he wanted to be there and remember it. And I think that's what he was doing too. And I think that intensity and that staying in that moment is what made it even hotter. Right.
I mean, I just
Yep.
it, so I'm not gonna really add any more because that's true. I think all of that is all true. So, but let's talk about date night. But I want to talk about, before we go to date night, we want to talk about the makeover that the females gave her. The females in that mansion gave her, because that was so funny. It was just it was a moment of levity because, you know, Selena was just totally out of her comfort zone. She didn't know what a curling iron was. She didn't know. She's like, makeup, what the hell is this? I don't know what is this? You know, I'm just going to wear my robes. And like, you know, and Hex was like, boring, you know, you look like grapes, you know, like,
You think I was great?
No, Selena didn't have this reaction, but some of the other females kind of glared at Hex, and she was just like, oh, I don't know. Why are you asking me? Why am I even here? You know, and she was so awkward and uncomfortable. But I think that in a way that made Selena feel better because she was feeling awkward. And, you know, even though Hex can't say the right words, but she knew what Selena needed in that moment. She gave her a Kleenex. She comforted her, put her, you know, hand on her shoulder. I was like, it's okay, you know, just go ahead, you know, you're fine. And I just thought that the honesty of Hex was what she needed, not, you know, all this other primping and stuff. She appreciated it, but she was just like, that's not what she really needed. So I don't know.
Well, I think Hex knew a little of what she was going through because the same thing had happened to her, right? So she was like fish out of water with all that makeup stuff and all the, you know, hair stuff. And much like Hex, Selena was like, but I look fine. Like, I'm fine. And they kind of had to break the news to her. And I think you could kind of see that even though Hex might not have used the right words, bless her heart, I think her sincerity was there. And she's like, girl, you got to change this shit. And she wasn't sugarcoating it. And Selena was not the type of person to sugarcoat shit. Like, I think of all the chosen, she was probably the most upfront. Like, we're going to talk about how she kind of talked to Trez about his problems. And I think she receives honesty better, even if it's not in a pretty package. I think she receives honesty better than anything else.
Well, yeah, she lost her ability to bullshit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
She just got no tolerance for bullshit. Just tell me straight, don't sugarcoat shit.
Right.
It's going to help me. It does not help me. So,
Like, what's the point of that?
Yeah, I agree. And I think with Hex, because she was awkward in there. She was like, you can tell, she's like, I have no clue what this shit is. Why'd you guys even bring me? And I think that was like why Selena, like, she would glance at her, and it was because, like, before she would answer with something, because they both had that moment of, this is, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm doing either, but go ahead, let them do what they're going to do. Like,
yeah.
She's like, okay, you know, so I think she related to her more because she had no clue what was going on. And, you know, so right. I agree.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So do you think, well, let's kind of talk about their date, and then we'll talk about some more in detail. But so the police chase, Fritz is a fucking badass. They were being chased by the police, and like Fritz is like, he's like, sir, I gotta go on the sidewalk.
Trez was losing it.
Like,
all over the back seat.
Happen, fire hydrants and newsstands are going flying.
Meanwhile, Selena's like, yay!
She's like, wait! Laughing her ass off. Trez is having a coronary next to her, you know.
Oh, it was a shit. He's like, I gotta get home, cook dinner. I don't know. We
I love it. He's like, sorry, sir. I'm gonna have to go faster because I gotta be home for last meal.
Well, here's the thing. Did he outdrive Manny? I think he outdrove Manny. Like, he was like, I'm not gonna be trapped by this shit. Manny like had to pull over pull over in the garage. But Fritz was like, I'm not going to be deterred from serving dinner. So we're going to get the fuck out of here, shall we? It was amazing.
Can't disappoint the mansion.
Oh my God. And then when everybody saw the car, they were like, what happened to the Mercedes? They're like, oh, we're on the news.
That was so funny. We made CNN.
That was the funny part. That was the funniest part. So did you want to see more date night? You know, would this have been better or worse for you, you think? Less or more tragic? I mean, because, they certainly didn't get to go on all of their, dates that Selena wanted.
They didn't get their mating.
So we back to sad as fuck. Okay,
yeah,
so
I don't get it right or make him dinner naked.
Well, is that right? Is there ever really enough time when someone you love is dying?
No.
It could have been 50 more dates. It could have been 50. It could have been 100, and we still would have felt like there wasn't enough time because, girl. God damn it.
Are you crying?
Fuck you guys. My whole paper is like ruined.
Sorry.
Ruined. I'm sorry. I shouldn't even say that. My God. Everybody calm down. It's fucked up. So,
look, this makeup took too long to put on. Don't make me cry.
I know. So there never would have been enough time. There wasn't going to be enough time. I think the hardest part for me, and I'm just gonna say it, I'm gonna get it out the way. When when they were in the bedroom and he reached for her hand, I gotta say it. I got to. And he pulled his hand away, and it slipped off, and she wasn't moving.
Yeah, he didn't realize
what the fuck. Like that was like he was like waiting for her to move, and then when she started tipping over, and I'm like, this is it. Like this is all they had left. And I in that moment I like lost it a little bit, and I don't think that would have been better. That ending for her wouldn't have been better even if they'd had 100 dates. Like it wouldn't have been all right if they had made it. It wouldn't have been all right if they had had kids. It wouldn't have been all right. So there's nothing that we can do to fix. Fuck! Stop crying, guys. There's nothing that would have made this better. Okay, go ahead. Say
it's making me laugh.
No, I agree there. At first that's the question I raised, right? It was like, I wish we would have been able to see more, but would that hurt less? No. Those last moments in the hospital when she was blinking to be able to communicate with him, and when she that killed me. That was like uncalled for. Fuck, it was uncalled for. Just uncalled for. Okay, I'm done.
On that note,
can we talk about something
I'm
else?
only laughing because it's embarrassing when I'm crying, so not because it's
no, it's really hard. It was it's really hard.
Okay, I need to
talk about the euthanasia, or we just got. Can we keep rolling so we can get rid of this part? Because I'm just shattered.
Well, this is another thing. This is okay. We can talk about the ring shopping.
Okay, and then we'll go back to euthanasia
because he knows what's going on, and he proposes to her because this is his shell as far as he's concerned. When they go ring shopping, and they have this special private showing with the jeweler, and he's got all these rings on this velvet thing, and she's putting all of them on, every finger will fit. She's like, how much? And he's like, several million. The sales guy is like, several million. She's like, oh no.
The way she as quickly as removed them, take these. I don't want this.
He's just like, she's like, this is a waste of money. Why are you wasting it? I'm not going to wear it for centuries, blah, 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 and he's like, he's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. doesn't matter what it costs, I'd buy you everything you ever wanted. And it's just like her reaction to the prices was just really funny. It's just like,
her reaction to the price was really funny.
Mhm.
And it was sweet to see that. It was almost like one of those like rom-com movie moments, which was just really cute, where you have like the debonair rich man take her and the champagne, and in this like almost like the Julia Roberts scene, because she's like has no clue.
Yeah.
And not even like the Pretty Woman type thing. She has like no clue when she's just enjoying and having a good time, and then see that. So it was really fun to watch.
Yeah,
like, you talk about I'm sorry, go ahead, AJ.
No, and she was just like, I understand, like I haven't been on Earth very long, but like I understand the value of money. Like she knew that millions was a lot of money. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think of all those, like I guess we're gonna couple like all the dates together, but I love the background that was happening. Like there were people like moving and doing things for her just to make it perfect. Like I am up in the watching to make sure everything's okay. Manny was like on standby with the van. Vicious was like pitching in, and like there was this whole collective effort to make this woman's last moments on Earth with the man that she loved perfect. And for me, that was so special and so incredible for them to even, like, they didn't go out fighting, like they were like there for him and there for her. And I loved it. I loved every bit of it. And even the ring shopping when Trez was getting her the ring, that it was just all so perfect. I think that was probably my favorite parts of the book. If you get rid of all the other stuff.
Yeah, like that, and then the dancing in the parking lot.
Yeah,
that was so romantic, so sweet.
The roller coaster
and I actually, yes, that's what I was gonna talk about. Him being so afraid of heights, and then like still like going up to the highest restaurant in the city, basically.
Oh my god!
And then going on and planning the roller coaster dates, and like those were like him conquering his fear. Like you think like, oh, this big badass, but he has this like ridiculous fear of heights, right?
Vulnerability was
right, and but
right?
how he was like, I'm cool. No, I'm cool. We can do this. Like, and it was so cute of him. Like, I just loved it.
Oh, that was my favorite part. This was my favorite part of the book. Like, if there was no death, no dying, this would have been like one of my favorite. I love that couple. I love them so much. So.
But you also mentioned, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say, so this is like one of the questions was, what do you think of the males in the house's reaction to the situation? What was your favorite male-to-male conversation of offering comfort and support to Trez? Because Aya makes this, has this thought that he's like, this is our tribe. We finally found our tribe. We left the Sahisby, and we finally really found where we belong. And it was just like how the brotherhood, they all came together and supported him, just like their family, and they all got together and made the funeral pyre, and which was like this monstrosity. I mean, the way that it was described,
9 by 9 by 9 by 9, 25, 25.
Right.
Incredible.
But not only how big it was and what they did, but like the size of it. But like they even talked, there was a part of the book where they're talking about how they were all like they bled, like they cut the cuts and scrapes and bleeding, and it was like they're almost like their sacrifice too for it. It just was really sweet. I feel like they all like would drop anything that was happening. To be, this family is just a real, like, it's a hodgepodge of people. You got humans, vampires, shadows, sympaths, all living, dogging. They're all living in the same house, and but they all come together to support each other through happiness, sadness. Like even they were out working and fighting the bad, and they get a text like, hey, we got to come home, Selena, you know, and really, truly, like, who's Selena to them? You know, she was just the chosen. Like, they really, I mean, they didn't really know her like that, right? But they dropped everything.
You know, she fed them, so they, you know, that's an intimate act, whether you
I
want.
guess so. But still,
yeah,
like,
Fury had brought him down. I think they knew. I mean, no more than they knew Trez, though, right?
Yeah.
So I think they knew and loved both of them, and they had become part of the family. And you know, I think even like we don't get to see Raph be like super emotional and vulnerable ever. But even he like pulled him into a hug. Like he's not like, you know, Paradise met him and he was kind of like, you want to pet my dog? Like I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna do all this like huggy shit with you, you know. And he's used to people like kind of fawning all over him. So to see him hug anyone other than Beth is something. So I think that interaction was probably the one that stuck out the most to me, just because it's so out of character for Raph, right?
Yeah.
Also, okay. The one with Tor, too, but it wasn't the Tor. It was Tor and I Am. It wasn't actually Tor and Trez.
Yeah, it was Tor and I Am.
Yeah, and I don't know if we're gonna talk about this later, but it was Lassiter and Trez. That one too. So
I got nothing else. I'm shattered. I am shattered. I had a shot before.
We gotta talk about the you know, the Selena and Trez did have some moments where they were fighting about the situation. You know, and the first one was in the clinic after she had the first arrest when the scribe virgin had come in, Trez, and after she had, you know, started to get better and stuff, and she sensed that he wasn't being honest with her, and you know, and she just was like, get out, because I'm not going to be your excuse not to deal with your life. You know, do you think that she was too harsh at that point? We had to kick him out. Obviously, she does wind up going back and apologizing, but it was, you know, I don't think she was wrong to kick him out. I think he needed that kick in the ass to kind of wake up to, you know, the situation. But and then they had other fights, but we'll talk about that one first.
I agree. I think that because she was dying, she just didn't hold anything back. She just was. She thought it. She said it, and there was no room for bullshit for her. And I think that she wanted, like, unless she was going to have complete honesty, then there was no point of dealing with what she was dealing with, you know?
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I think I didn't love it. I didn't love any of their fights because they had so little time together. I didn't want them to spend it like fighting, but she was really the only person that could break through to Trez about his responsibility back at home. Because I had been lecturing him for years, right? And he was just like, whatever, dude, I go when I go. You know, I'm going to go, but I'm going to live a little, you know. So I don't think there was anyone else that could say it to him and make him deal with it. It ended up being the best thing, you know. So I think the end justified the mean. I didn't love the fighting because I was like, oh, can't you guys just, you know, let him be with you, let him be there for you, let him comfort you. But I do understand why she was doing it, and it needed to happen. So
yeah, so there was a fight. Now that the fight they had, the day or the night before she had her final arrest attack, you know, they had a fight, and she was like, Trez, you got to move on, you know, and he interprets it as her just like pushing him away, and him saying, you know, look, I'm a bonded male. You're saying that to me, not fucking helpful. I mean, he doesn't say it that way, but you know, it's like, and so he gets upset, and he's like, you need to get out. And she's like, no, I think you're misinterpreting what I'm saying. She's like, and she finally says, no, that isn't what I want. I don't want you. I want you to pine over me, and I want to haunt your ass for the rest of your life. Like, that's what she really meant. She's like, you know, but she didn't want him to also suffer too. So like it was kind of a double-edged sword, I think, in a way. Like she's like, no, I don't want you to move on. No, yes, I want you to pine. I want you to, all this stuff. But and that finally came out, and that was just, oh God, what do you think their reaction to the fight was? It was just so, I couldn't stop crying during that scene. Seriously, it was like, what the fuck?
On that one, I get what she was saying though, because so Trez needed to hear that too, because she didn't want him to like spend his life like wasting away. Like she's seen Lucas already, and I think that had an impact on her. Like, don't be like that. Like live, because you'll be here and find someone that you can love, and you can't pine away from me. And we've seen that happen before. We've seen Tor, and while Lucas is in mourning for the life that he never got to live, it is not very different than what Trez would have been going through. So I think he needed to hear it. Again, those fights are painful because you got 15 minutes left with each other. So, chill and just everybody just get along. So that was the painful part of looking at that. But she had to say that to him. He had to hear her say, it's okay for you to move on. It's okay for you to love again. And it's okay for you to live. And I understand his reaction too. He I'm incapable of thinking about that because I'm already losing you.
Yeah.
Right. It's almost like he felt like she was undermining his feelings, right? As a bonded man, right? To say that, I mean, we all understand why she said it, because he has years and years and years and years and years after her, to live, and she didn't want him to be alone. So we understand why she was where she was coming from with that. But for him, he's like, you're undermining me and my love for you, right? To tell me I should move on is to say that my love for you was insignificant. And I think that's where he was coming from in that. Yeah. So I get it. But I was happy that fight only lasted for 2 minutes. And then they were done, right? I was kind of like, okay, good. I really didn't want them to stop talking for another 3 weeks, right?
And she also told him, so it's kind of switching the subject, but she also told him, so I'm trying desperately to get through this Selena and Trez shit because it's so bad. She talked about how some of her sisters who had had the arrest were entombed in these plaster statues, and she's like, who knows if they even are really dead, maybe they're just stuck, and so that was such their greatest fear. And she's like, don't let my sisters entomb me like that. I don't want to be. I want to be set free. Please don't do that. So then, right after, she has her final attack where she's on the floor, she's kneeling, and he's going to help her off the floor, and she extends her hand, and then she just completely, gets just, what happens, right? And she just, and then he takes her down there, and, it was 6-8 hours he was down there, her being in the same position. They had taken x-rays, they'd done all this workup on her, Manny and Jane, and found out that her bones, her joints were just they were like metal. They were so hard that they just knew that she wasn't going to come out of this one. And so she's just, the only thing she could do is blink and cry. And he's just like, do you want to go? Are you ready? And she's like, blink, blink, yeah. But he's like, do you want to say goodbye to anybody? She's like, no. You just tell him, you okay? Do you want me to tell him that you loved him? Yes, all this stuff.
Girl.
So now he asks Manny basically to euthanize her, so do you think that he was just honoring a last request? Was it necessary? I personally think it was necessary, because she would have been suffering for how long like that? It could have been another 6 months for how we know. We don't even know, that situation, because, the Chosen, I have to get this out though, because the Chosen were we put them in the other Chosen that had the arrest, we put them in the position, and it's how were they doing that? That had been ahead of time, because when she was a body ready to go, nobody could have moved her position. So it was like, made me think about that. Like, how long were they in the same position before they actually died? I can't even with this scene, but
you know, that is like a good question. Like, with her, she was kneeling down and she couldn't stand back up.
right.
With those other chosen being put in certain positions,
Right.
how long did they sit like that until the arrest came and gone? Like, that is crazy. Like, I mean, a week to, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
she didn't know. Like, we watched Selena go through it, so we knew her bones were achy. It was like a whole week, that last week, where, you know, they were doing their dates and stuff, and her joints were hard to move. But she was still moving. She was able to have sex. You know, like, she was still moving.
A lot of sex.
So a lot of sex. So to think about them sitting like that, that in the position that they want to stay in, that's just fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It seemed like torture, you know, and I think he set her free, you know, that's what she wanted. And so that's what he did, you know.
Yeah. I don't think he really had a choice. Like, so the thing for me that stands out for me about the arrest and the way that they pass away, whenever she was in that frozen state, she was conscious of everything. And that was one of her biggest fears, was that she would be conscious in those statues until she died of a natural cause. And I got the impression that Selena was kind of younger, right? So if she, like they had mentioned, that it was very early for her, it must have been going on a long time. So I feel like the possibility that they're in there until they go on to the fade, that is horrifying to me. So I totally get why she was scared of that. I get why he had to honor her dying wish, because it's almost like, you know, people who can't tolerate being on life support. And they're like, just let me go, because I don't want to be hooked up to machines for forever, like for however long, just in this vegetative state. So I think he had to do it. I think it was a humane thing to do, considering her fears and considering nobody really knows how long they stay like that. So I personally was glad that she didn't linger and suffer for much longer. I think I think it was a very dignified way to go, and I appreciate my man Rev for giving them loaning them his traditions to help her pass on. And yeah, it absolutely had to happen.
I get it. I know what you're saying. I can't get over it. I get why. I understand all of that. I really, really do. And my head is saying, yeah, that was the only thing to do. My heart's like, fuck that, you know. So I'm having trouble with it. But, you know, I can see. I agree with everything you said, the both of you. But I have a really hard time accepting, taking that life like that, you know. Yeah. Even though it was going, I just have a really hard time with it.
Well, I think it's personal choice too, you know. I think it comes down to, you know, that kind of thing. It's like that was her choice. That's what she knew, that's what was happening, you know. Like, she was aware.
I agree. Like, my heart is having a hard time with it.
Yeah.
Everything else understands. Like, my head understands, but my heart's like, fuck that. You know, so I don't know.
So let's kind of change the subject again.
Yeah.
That was like the end. Yeah, that was just, I cried the whole, like, I couldn't even stop. Like, it was just like, I had to blow my nose. I had snot bubbles. I mean, it was
that was so fucking hard. Like, it's hard. I don't know. Like, I don't know why it feels so real. Like it feels so goddamn real. And it's like I lost like one of my family, like I was fucked up, and I'm still like a little screwed up. I got a book hangover that's incredible still, and it's not even the first time reading it. Okay, that's it. I'm done.
So, it was like we had a couple of funny things I just wanted to mention, and then just because we need to lighten the mood a little bit. But we had Rage. He was talking to Mary about how he missed her because she had spent a couple of days at Havers and that safe place because she was dealing with a family in crisis. And and so Rage was just like, he's talking to Mary about how I missed her and how he had to jack off so many times, even in the pantry twice, because we had potatoes for dinner, and then I'm looking at because it reminded me of breasts, and she's like, but how do they remind you of breasts? I didn't say they were good breasts, just breasts. And then I got to looking at the peaches, and I just couldn't stop.
I love Rage. I freaking adore him.
It was hilarious. I so needed those giggles he gave me. Him and Lassiter. Oh my God.
Yeah, he was just so he had survivor's remorse through this whole book. He was just a mess, from the beginning when Layla had well, we'll go back to that. But so the other funny thing is I was going to try to segue, but it wasn't going to work. So, anyway, so then we have V and Jane, V just pile driving Jane on the desk and was like, ah.
What are you doing to her? Get off of her.
No, the best is when he comes out and he's like, we'll be out in a second. And he comes out, he's doing his pants.
It's like, hey, I can come back. He's like, nah,
no, it's good.
She good. Vicious is a fucking beast. I love him.
So nonchalant about it. He's just like, yeah, it's all right, zip.
Oh my God. He is the fucking best.
Well, speaking of him and Jane's exploits, the beginning scene in the beginning when they're in Trez's office and he's like, hey, when'd you get that tongue ring? He's like, oh, I got it recently. He's like, why'd you get it? He's like, because Jane wanted me to get one. Or Jane likes it or some shit. I'm like, Jane is such a freak. I love it.
She's a kinky bitch.
I think they could be together if she wasn't.
That's true.
They couldn't be together if she wasn't. He absolutely needed a dom / submissive, because I feel like they alternate roles every now and then.
Yeah.
I've thought a lot about their sexcapades. Pretty sure. At least in my head, that's how it goes down.
So let's talk a little bit about the bastards. So we have where Thro confronts Thor. He had already told the bastards that, hey, he's changed his way, he's softening because of this female, this and that and the other. And he basically gives the bastards an ultimatum. It's me or him. Of course, the bastards.
How dare you?
Yeah, how dare you? The bastards choose Core because they're like, I'm not going to follow Thro, But, I think Core was a little worried about it, but then they came through, and I was kind of offended by this scene because, offended by Thro, I shouldn't say offended by the scene, but, just because, he's just trying to really talk down to Core, because Core was just talking about how, democracy works, and, the 1,000 have chosen, Wrath to lead them, there's no fight. So that's why we stopped going after the throne, during that. And, and Thro's just kind of trying to belittle him. And it's just like, you don't even know what these words mean until you met this female. You don't even know anything about anything. You're stupid, And I just think that do you think that Core is a lot smarter than Elatson? I think so. But
just because you can't, he was never taught to read and write, but that doesn't mean he's stupid. You know what I mean? He's never been taught to read and write. He sure as hell street smart. We know that. And
I just don't get where Throw got that from, because I had never encountered Core like incapable of speech. Like, he's never been one that he was always a very formal communicator. And I'm like trying to figure out where he got that from, because he wasn't like, you know, like he never learned to read and write because he was in the bloodletters camp, and that was just not a part of their training. But he was like the bloodletters right hand. Like, he never exhibited ignorance. He never seemed, you know, like, people didn't even know he couldn't read and write. Like, Thoreau knew because he was doing that. But I'm trying to figure out where he even got that he needed someone to give him his words. Like, I think Thoreau was just deflecting, because that was the only thing that he had on him, was his affiliation with the Glamira, and his upbringing was more refined. And that was all he had over him, because he's like less of a man. He's not as strong. He's not as elite as a fighter. He's not a leader at all. So I think that was the only thing he had on him. And he was trying to like highlight anything that he could to gain control.
Yeah, it was like, it was almost showed that he kind of had a Gleimer way of thinking, that he just thought that the bastards were beneath him. No matter what happened, no matter how much time they spent together, they were beneath him. They were a class beneath him, and that's, you know, and in the end, and that's how he treated them. You know, I'm done with it.
And that you're beneath me, and I'm gonna outsmart you. Is like the idea, like the way he treated them, like, because not only was he degrading Core, but he was also degrading the other bastards by not letting that, like, telling them all these things about him, like they don't know who he is and who he's been to them all these years before Throw even joined them. They've you know, known him forever, so it's not like you're undermining their intelligence as well by saying all these things about him.
Yeah.
And I think
that was the case. And but I don't think that was always there. I still go back to him being really hurt. And you know, he lost his allegiance to Core. He probably would have never tried any of this if he hadn't lost his allegiance to her. Like, those three big things that we keep coming back to: the sister's ashes, the him being left in the alley, and then he got Layla, and that was just it. I think that was the beginning of the end. But when he decided to try and overthrow Core, I was just fucking done. I'm like, I don't feel sorry for you. That's it, sir. You can get the fuck out. Hit the bricks, pal.
Yeah, it's like he lost his damn mind. And it was like, and Core was like, well, he must have had a backup plan, because it's so close to dawn. He's got to have somewhere to go. And where did he go? He winds up going to Abalone's mansion. And
Apple Bottom.
Your Apple Bottom.
Forever Apple Bottom.
Apple Bottom.
Distant cousin. You know, so I can stay here, right? Like, you know, and you know, Avalon's like, and so he, you know, he lies and says, "Oh, I left the bastards. They're still going after the throne, this and that and the other." And you know,
so he did have a plan. Core was right. He had a plan. His plan was to lie to Avalon, because he knows that he is basically the hand to the king, right. And by using that lie to secure a place to stay, and that's why he did it. But I think he realized that the brothers and Wrath didn't trust him, and that's why he lied.
Yeah, so they you know, so yeah, part of that is that then Abalone goes to Wrath and says, "Look, this is what's going on." He tells them this and that, and so then the brothers and Wrath go over to talk to him at Abalone's mansion, and he's just like, tells them this is where they live, that in this house in the cul-de-sac where they were, and you know, this is, you know, that if you don't believe me, go there and check it out. And then Wrath says, hey, to Avalon, have Paradise, go to the Wallace mansion, for a few days or whatever, and can you harbor him, because I'd like to keep my enemies close, basically. Do you think that was fair of Wrath to ask Abe to shelter Thro like that?
I think so. I mean, I know that this sounds horrible, but I think they were a significant threat to the Brotherhood. And I think, sometimes being a ruler is really difficult and you have to make hard decisions. I don't think there is like fair in war. It's only what is and what is not. So he needed to know the motives behind Thro. And he needed to also, if he could, glean some information on the bastards. Yeah. And, I don't think he had a choice. Was it the best possible situation? Nope, not at all. But I think because they're in a war, there's always going to be casualties, and it happened to be potentially Avalon's home. So, I think he had to. I don't think he had a choice. And I think if he would have had a choice, he would have taken it. But they couldn't take him back to the mansion.
No.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing. No, there was no way they could take him back to the mansion.
So, no. Hell no.
Yeah.
But not to kick him out, because Avalon wanted to kick him out. So, but eventually he does kick him out, or but
he technically didn't kick him out. He left on his own behalf, right?
He finds a note saying, "Hey, I'm gone. Whatever, blah blah blah. Thank you. We'll stay in touch or whatever. Some bullshit like that."
Mm-hmm.
So then he goes to the local prostitute. She's like, "I'm a member," but she's like,
I don't think she's not a sex worker. She did service them, but did they pay her? She was a cabin chick, right?
Isn't she like a madam or something?
No, she was the one in the cabin. She was the chick in the cabin.
Yeah, she was the cabin one.
Yeah, she wasn't the prostitute.
She just likes
So no. I'm talking about Thro goes to the
Yeah, the chicks. They had hooked up with her before, but I think she was the one in the cabin, and not because it was prostitutes, and then it was that chick in the cabin, and I think that's who she was, right?
No, the one that no. This is the one. Her Hellion is really old, and she's like,
but that's her cabin.
They hooked up with her.
It was a cottage, so I'm confused because of the cabin, and then so I'm confusing you using the word cabin because I don't think of it.
Cabin, cottage, fuck palace, whatever.
It's where on the ground of their home. It's on the ground of their home.
Take her conquests. She's not a sex worker.
It's on her estate. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So
So he went there and found him a sugar mama.
And she's so gross. They're him, he's like, I'll show you my gratitude. And he's like rubbing her, whatever. Oh my God, that was the most unsexy thing. They're both disgusting.
I think you just don't like Thro, because when Core, I don't like her either, because I think she was kind of mean to Core when they met before.
Yeah, she flinched.
Yeah.
Remember, Zephyr, the cousins had her. At the same time.
Yeah.
And
they were doing a thing.
She sensed him and his arousal, but he wasn't thinking of her. He was thinking of Layla, and she looked at him, and he was like, "No, I'm good. You're good."
Yeah,
and she flinched when she looked at him.
Yeah, she's a bitch.
Yeah, so I think we just don't like them, but I don't think it was super gross. Because she's not an old person. Oh God.
No, I just thought it was a very plastic moment.
Yeah, we just don't like him. If that would
have been like him, because I thought I'm not gonna lie, I thought the sex scene when him and Core were with the prostitute the first time we got to see that, I was like, damn.
No, because
did that really happen?
They are so fucking. Okay, I'm sorry. We're not in that book.
Five of them have
but that's why I'm saying now we hate him. So now the reaction is different,
right?
Because we're women, right? So if we hate someone, we're not going to really find it attractive.
This is the thing. It's not only that, like, she's cheating on her Halloran. She's just, she's younger Shellen, so she's obviously married him for his money. I mean, she's just a despicable person. And then
she is, but I'm gonna tell you, I knew she was a despicable person. I knew she was a cheater and a despicable person when Balthazar and Zephyr was on top of her, and I had no problem with it. I'm not condoning cheating. Like,
I think it's because we hate him, so now we hate her.
Oh, and we love the bastard.
Right, and that's my whole motivation, because I was like, before I was like, wow, look at them go.
Right. I agree. I'm right with you. I'm with
now
you.
I'm like, he rubbed her clit through her dress, and now I'm grossed out. But had that been any other couple, I'd been like, that's what's up.
So we got to talk about Cor and Layla, because
Peeping Tom,
what her dad said.
So the first time they're like, he rents this like cottage so she could feel more comfortable and homey when she visits. And the first time she goes there, they have conversations, pretty frank, and she wanted to watch him jack off because she saw that he had this erection or whatever.
Huge cock.
Huge cock.
he like told him, wow, you're big.
Whoa, boy.
So, but he winds up kicking her out of the house, right? Because he just can't deal with her,
Don't go all the way down there. Let's talk about that jet stream of
No, I want to talk about
that was
But he kicked the kickoff. This was before. She's right. It was before that.
Yeah, I know.
He
I'm gonna
kicked
go
her
back
out.
to
That's
that.
what she
I'm not
felt.
done.
That's what I really want to talk about.
I know.
Okay,
We'll
go
get
ahead.
there. We'll get there. So she's talking about. So she goes outside and watches her jack off outside through the window, and she slips and falls and breaks her arm. And she goes back to the mansion, and she's covered in leaves and dirt, and she passes out in the vestibule. Her feet are hanging out, and everybody, there are people just coming back from fighting or whatever, and Rage sees her, and he just like freaks. He flips out. He has like his panic attack. Like, he is just like, I'm done. I'm out of here. I can't breathe. What the hell's my problem? And Tor's like, sit the fuck down. You calm down, man. Like, what the fuck is your problem? I was like, what do you think of his reaction and his panic attacks? And it seems like he has survivor's remorse, because he's just like, why was my Mary, why was she saved? Why was she spared and not others? And, it's crazy.
He's not the first one to ask that question, right? So Tor asked that question. John asked that question when it was Wellesley. It is a good question. Why was Mary special and the rest of them weren't? And we don't know. We'll never know, like, why she did it. Why she saved Mary and not the others. But
we do know. We know that she spared Mary because she had already had loss.
That's true.
She couldn't procreate, and that's something that Rage ultimately wants. With Wellesley, you can't just stop a gunshot. Like she can't stop everything, because bad things happen, and that's a part of like the world. It can't all be sunshine and roses. So, I know we feel angry about the whole Selena thing, but in actuality, Rage's question is valid. Rage feeling bad about it is valid, but you can't stop destiny, and that's the thing that we wanted to happen here. So I think Rage's, back to the question, I think Rage's problem was that he was seeing all of these things happen, and he never dealt with the fact that he wouldn't have children with Mary. He never dealt with the fact that all of these things are happening around him, and he can't stop them, because Rage is ultimately a hero. So I think that's a big part of why he was feeling that way and having panic attacks, because he's not with Mary a lot. And he can't control all these things around him, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I think. I don't know.
But I also think that, she was spared because he had made the sacrifice to never see her again. And then it was a scribe virgin who said, oh, well, she's barren, so I can't take her warrior from her too. And I just
and he has to live with the beast for the rest of his life.
Right. And I think she felt sorry for him because she tortured him basically with this beast.
I don't think that bitch felt sorry. I don't. I think she was like, I don't think until Selena was down and she had lost the chosen and she lost Vicious, a relationship with Vicious, and she lost Pain. I don't think she felt bad at all. When she was talking to Mary about that baby, about her, not being able to have kids, I think she was like, oh, there is punishment here. I'm good. I really think that she is just one of those people that sees things in black and white, and there's no gray. And until she lost everything and realized that she too could be hurt, she didn't have empathy for other people. I just don't believe that.
Yeah.
And the fact that Mary, when you said that, I thought about something. The fact that Mary cannot have children, that is huge for the scribe virgin herself, right? Because she procreating is huge for her. She can create beings and still wanted to have children like one of her, like vampires or beings, right? So for her, like, the ability not to have children is a huge loss. So I think that's another reason why she was like, oh, there's your bad, and it's a really bad.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like Rage had spent a lot of time with things happening around him, but he's always been able to just, fix it or control it, or, and he knows that Mary is hurting because she can't give him children. And I was thinking that because there are starting to be children in the mansion, a part of him wants that, and I think we see more in the beast naturally, but I think it really triggered something for him that, he couldn't give Mary everything that she wanted. He knows she wants kids, so I think that was really just a lot for him to deal with.
Okay, so I'm gonna kind of get back to Cor and Layla. So the second time she comes to see him, she goes to see him because she sees on the news that the gunfight downtown, and that potentially he or one of the bastards got hit by the ambulance or whatever during that. And so she sees him and he opens the door, and of course he sends the bastards away first, get the fuck out of here. Then she opens the door and she sees that he's hurt, and she's like, you need to feed, and she's really pressing him like, you really need to feed. And then he's giving into this, and then he goes in the bathroom because he feels like he's unclean and he doesn't want to take her vein being dirty, and so he goes into the shower, and of course she goes in because she can't help herself. And he's standing there.
Could you help yourself though? Like, would you be able to help yourself?
Yeah. He's struggling to get his shirt off, and she's serious. Then the shower's running, so she knows that's what he's doing, and he's struggling to get the shirt off, and he is just like ripped, and she's like, she thirsty. I just love that. That scene was kind of my favorite scenes. I don't know why, but it was just really funny. So he just gives in and lets her help him, and then he's like, go, you gotta go. I'm gonna, unless you want to see more than you're bargained for, you gotta leave. And she strips him. She pretty much strips him, and he's just standing there like, what the fuck? And he gets in the shower, and he's like, but then it's like he winds up going like, what? How did you?
That's really all we want to talk. We don't care about the scene setup.
All this other stuff is like background.
All I want to talk about is the fact that obviously Cor's manhood is obviously larger than Quinn, and I mean, like, it's gotta be. Because she was like, what is that, anaconda? And I was like, girl, do tell. And do we agree? You know, that's like always my thing. Like I have a chart in my head of all the brothers and their manhood.
But like, wait, so she wasn't her kneading. Do you think she would remember what it looked like?
No, listen. So when she said I barely remember. No, you remember the size of a man's junk.
But I don't think she saw it.
She felt it.
They were naked.
But she didn't see it.
Why do you think she didn't see it?
How was
she was like,
how could she not see it?
Because she was like gone on her hormones.
Girl, you
would have felt it. She would have felt it because she was a virgin. So like,
oh yeah, she felt that. Like I think she saw it, and I think he was definitely a lot more than she'd ever seen before, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and just say it. If we had to rank the brothers' penises, we're gonna
go with Butch.
Butch, Core, Quinn, Zadist.
Oh wait! Excuse me. Why did they
Rev?
He's only like 4. The rest of them are like 6'8". It's proportional, baby.
You think height is it? You think height is all there is to it? Because, you know, listen, some of these brothers
You're just saying they're perfect. So they're proportional.
Some of these brothers are wider. Y'all got to read these descriptions. Some brothers are wider and shorter, and some are longer. Or am I making that up? Like, am I making it up? Like, I feel like I read.
No, it's how you read it in your mind.
Some are thicker and some are longer.
See, I was talking about how they come up past their navel. That's a fucking big dick. Sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, I know what you guys are thinking. Y'all thinking I'm like, oh, they get smaller. No, I think they're all at least 7 inches. I think they're all 7. But like there's some that are like 7.25. There's some that are like 7.365, and then like you got to do the width. Okay. All right, I'm gonna write it down and I'll go.
Listen. Besides that, he goes on this like coming spree. I mean,
like a
super soaker. Eliza, do it. Do the.
What?
A super soaker. Where's it going? Whose hair?
Where's it going?
Talking about so you got leaves on you. I'm like, that ain't all.
That's some big balls. It's some big balls.
He dumped that out. Okay.
And still was coming after she left.
Because he couldn't, but it was like, and he was like, it was just there. It wasn't like he tried. It wasn't like he was doing
he
anything.
couldn't stop.
His body wanted to mark her so bad.
Everywhere.
He was like marking her without marking her, you know?
God. I mean, but I can't remember, like, what did she, like, what is she, like, how did this, okay.
She didn't do anything to watch him. Like,
she didn't do anything. Like, she sat on the toilet when she sat on the toilet to wait for him to get out of his shower. Like, she didn't do it. And he just released. And I'm trying to figure out, like, was it the buildup of, like, her proximity to him while he was erect? I feel like that's all it was. But I'm like, wow, that was a lot.
Like at one point, he's like trying to cover up this fact that he's doing this, and she's like, "I can see your shadow. I don't know what you're trying to do."
I see you pulling and jerking. I see what's happening in there. Layla's an Eros, and I think I think the way she says things can be extremely sexy too. So I think that's what like got him going. And then once he blew that wad, he couldn't stop because he had imagined her for so long, and it was everywhere. Like I was.
And despite this, like he winds up kicking her out, and so
had to.
He like breaks things off with Layla. You know, do you think it was his pride, you know, his fear for her safety, or, you know, and why didn't she tell him her true feelings? So he asked her, you know, would you come even if this wasn't over your head? You know, this pact that they had. And she's like, I would, but she never put feeling behind it. She just said she would, but not why. And so, you know, what do you think of that whole situation?
You go first, Sage. I went on and on about the ejaculation. So.
Got you started. I asked you to do the sprinkler, so we're good. But right. So I think both of them are being a little immature, right? First, we're sneaking around like we're teenagers, you know. I mean, they have to because they have to hide from the king.
In case of murder.
Right. So I get that, but at the same time is he never really truly told her how he felt, and neither did she.
Yeah.
She thought it was, you know, like physical, like she kind of thought maybe possibly, you know, but he never said it, and neither did she. And I think a lot of the misunderstandings between them, all of that could have been resolved if they actually just shared how they felt. I do believe he let her go for her own safety. He loves her enough to let her go, because he knows at the end of the day, she's not going to be safe coming to see him all the time. And he doesn't have it in him to like keep his hands off like any longer. Like his penis was acting on its own accord today, it was last time. So I don't think it was just like, look, if you're not going to do anything with her, I'm just going to do it on my own. So
dude, I got a moment. I got to take a moment.
Right. So, but it, like, he really, I think he was doing it for her own safety, because if the brother had found out, if Quinn found out, I mean, so many things, like they could possibly take her babies away. You know what I mean? Like so many things could happen to her. She's a traitor for what she's doing with him. And I think for her own safety, he let her go.
I agree with that. I think it's potentially, I think he is thinking about her safety more than just from him, the brotherhood. And I think he didn't know for sure because she never told him how she truly felt. And he's like, I love her. I'm in love with her. That's not going to change. And if she keeps coming, I don't know what's going to happen. So I think he can't control himself around her. He loses that thing that makes him, you know, a warrior and a fighter when he's around her, like most bonded males. And I don't think he wanted to violate her. I don't think he felt good enough for her either. So I think that plays into it. Yeah. Like even beyond the, like, I've been fighting lessers and stuff, like he can't read. He knows that he can't provide for her in a way that she befitting a chosen. And so I think that he definitely feels a lot of that. So that's why he threw her out. I don't know why she didn't confide in him. Probably because, you know, she knows that what she's doing is technically an act of treason. And she does feel this loyalty to the brotherhood. So she is suppressing all that she feels because she doesn't want to betray them. But this thing with him, this thing in her heart won't let her turn away from him. You know what I mean? And she's intrigued, and he got this big old thing, and it's water skiing for her, and you know that's all she ever wanted, you know. So I think yes, her head tells her not to tell him that she loves him, and that, you know, she would do anything for him, like escape from the house and break her arm, and you know, like she would always come to him, but she didn't.
And this is another example of do females bond, because I think they have a reaction to a male's bond. Maybe not necessarily bond themselves, but their physiological bond, like that it triggers something in them, this bonding, you know, and because they always want to go after their male, you know, it's like they're just as bad as the males are trying to get their, you know, once they get to the point where they, you know, feel things, you know, there's nothing that deters them, you know. It's just like that's what I want, you know. Even like when Mary, you know, was like in the you know, Butch's book, Rage's book, and how, you know, she's you know, she's pushing him away, and she says, you gotta go, blah 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 blah, I'm okay, I don't need you, blah blah blah, and he's leaving, and she just bolts out the door and was like, I'm not okay, you know. And it was just, that was a good moment. That is a good
it
moment.
was.
So but there's a couple other characters we'll talk about. Lucas, which is Quinn's brother, we know. This poor son of a bitch.
Oh my God.
So much shit happened to him. Stuck in a barrel, fingers cut off, legs don't work right. I mean, what the fuck? And then he wants to die. So he, you know, and so he lets this infection fester in his leg, and goes into cardiac arrest, and he has, you know, Quinn says, okay, chop his leg off, we gotta save his life. They do. He gets pissed, but then Selena, he starts freaking out again, and he's like throwing shit at Jane, like, and he runs. She goes next door to, you know, find out what's going on, and he's just like, I wanted to die, blah blah blah, why didn't you just let me die, fuck you, like so many F-bombs he says, you know. And she just looks at him, and she's just like, she doesn't say it like this, but she's like, shut the fuck up. I would do anything to be where you're right now. I would lose leg happily to be where you're at right now. I'm dying. And do you think that he's seen right at that, he calms right down, and he's just like, whatever. Do you think, we never really hear more about this, but do you think it changed his outlook, hearing like, hey, look, I'm dying, I don't want to. You're living, and you have you're not dying. Why the fuck?
You're trying to kill yourself.
You know, like, what's wrong?
You're trying to kill yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it did. I think he quieted down, and that was the first time he had, because he was very mean to Quinn, and I think it's a lot of reasons for that. Right. You know, and he blamed him from like taking his choice away, and ultimately, I think it was a bit of a coward's way out, because you know, we know that losing a leg and losing fingers, and you know, whatever you have to go through, you know, you can still have a full life if you are not abled. And I think he had a very glamorous way of thinking about that, because you know, they think anything less than perfection isn't valuable. So I think that influenced his decision. And I think when he saw Selena come in, and she looked okay, right? I mean, you know, and in his mind, in his ableist mind, he was like, well, you know, these people are perfect, and it's not fair, and I should be perfect too. And she's like, no, you're living, you're going to live, and the world is not always fair, you know, and I'm dying. So, you know, I don't mean to say man up, but kind of like realize you're blessed here, you know, because you could be dead. He could have let you die. So I think that did, you know, give him a much needed reality check that life happens, and you have to just keep going and get on about the business of living. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I think that really did change his perspective.
So what do we think about Paradise? I love the fact that she stand up to Peyton, and Peyton was really being misogynistic, and she realized for the first time that he has feelings for her, but then she meets Craig. He comes in 6'7", pale blue eyes, hot as fuck. What do we think about him? And it was just funny. The whole room was just like, in that moment, the awkward moment where she was just like, everybody could tell she was like in total lust with him. So.
You go ahead, Sid.
I loved it. Well, I like his personality, because he's kind of lost. And then and obviously not techie at all, because she's like, I can send you an email. He's like, I don't have an email. So I like that he's gonna I would like to see more of him. I know that he's gonna he would bring a different perspective, but I love how she was kind of like, hi. And I like that the opposite of Peyton, he didn't Pepe, he didn't he encouraged her joining the training program, and I like that too.
Is that the attraction there, that he did not immediately shut her down? Because I think it is. I think I like Craig as soon as I met him, and one of the things that made me like Craig is that he didn't immediately shut her down, and he was very open-minded, which is something that's different for the men, for the males, even the males that are not Glimera, they all have that kind of, what you want to, fight, you want to, yeah. So so Craig is the first guy that we've met so far that is kind of like, aside from Manny doesn't give Payne a hard time about fighting. But Craig is the first one who kind of vocalized it and said, yeah, sure, go for it. And that was very, very attractive to me.
Yeah, where Peyton said it, sarcastically, well, then try out, that's how you feel.
Yeah, no, he was pretty nasty for a second, because he was like, what you mean? Like, what you even saying?
Yeah, girls are not supposed to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, he had that attitude that is very, very, very familiar for the Brotherhood and for any of the males in the vampire race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she's just like, go smoke a bowl, Peyton. Like, leave me alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go get your bomb.
Let's talk a little bit about Sale. So Sale is kind of, his coke habit has gotten out of control. So he finds that the Lessers are buying guns. Do you think he should have intercepted the shipment to the Lessers? Was he just too coked out to care? I mean, what was the situation there?
I'm gonna go first because I know Eliza's gonna defend him. So I just think he's a businessman and just doesn't give a shit. Yeah, he was high as a kite, but for him, as long as it didn't affect what he was working on, what his end goal was, because he would have killed them if they were dealing with if they were drugs. When he followed them and found the guns, he would have if they were drugs, he would have killed them, or he would have dealt with that. But since they were guns, he's like, well, shit, that ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm out. And he didn't care until the king questioned him about it.
Yeah.
I don't actually disagree with that. I think he should have, but I think because he was gone on Sola, he had lost Marisol, and he also was like super duper high. So I don't think he was using deductive reasoning at all. Like even if he, because at that point, the Brotherhood had kind of done him as solid, and but I think he was out of his mind with grief. And he's a bonded male, he's wandering around like making these poor decisions. So I think he should have, but I don't think he was in any shape to be deductive and figure out what to do.
So then, his drug dealing and dealing with the lessers and the four lesser, his relationship with the four lesser gets the attention of Graf. And he says, you stop doing that or I put a bullet in your head, pretty much. And at first he's like, no, I'm not, he said, oh yeah, I'm going to take, I'm not going to do that. And he was just like, then he was like, oh, we're not stopping our business, blah, 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 blah. But then he thinks about it and he's thinking about Sola. And so do you think Sola was his motivation for killing the four lesser?
I really do think that had to play in, right? Because he knows that she is, like, one of the reasons she left him was because she couldn't be around the life. And I think it's starting to click with him, that, these things are the right things to do. So yeah, I do think he was hopeful in that way.
Okay, so in this,
Sage, what you think about that though?
Oh.
Look at her face.
I don't think he cares. I don't think it's not about Sola. I think in his mind, he started selling drugs with the lessers from the beginning. He was like, he had just met her and he was like making deals like after he wait, when did he start?
Yeah,
am I mixing it up?
But this is the thing. His life was being threatened. And if I don't know, I just feel like I don't know. It's like, it's different if your life's being threatened.
Well, I like, you can see, we were in his point of view and you can see his thought process changing. Like, you can see him like, I got a lot of money, and that's not something that he'd ever said before. Like, you got to see that character arc right there, because before he was like, no, I'm the king of drugs. And now he's like, but I got everything I need. That is him changing for this woman. That has to be what it was, because there's nothing else that happened that made him be different.
His accounts and his books and seeing that.
Right. He wasn't doing that before. He had all that money before. Like, look at his house. His house is better than the mansion. Like, he got like these fancy ass fucking windows and shit, and he's sitting on acres of land, and he got all the cars he wants, and everything he did was for the thrill of being the kingpin, and that was his sole motivation. And I don't think a book ago or 2 books ago he would have said, look at how much money I got. Like, maybe I don't need to, no, that is.
Maybe I don't need that much revenue stream.
Right. That is purely driven by the love of this woman and her walking away from him. And somewhere in the back of his mind, even though he didn't say it, somewhere in the back of his mind, he's like, maybe I could change and maybe I could be with her.
Well, and I think also, he doesn't want his cousins will die too, along with him. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that might have been. But I just feel like it's more her.
I agree. It's the bond. It works.
She got that effect. And I know I see y'all like, she just gonna defend the sale to the bitter end. Him and Rev, I'm gonna defend them to the bitter end. I don't care about their drug addictions.
So we got
your top 2 are both drug addicts. Just want to tell you.
Rev has an illness. Rev is trying to save people's lives by taking that heroin. And
not heroin, dopamine.
Yeah, just dopamine, not heroin. But he
then he puts in like his heroin.
He absolutely needs it. He was using heroin. It wasn't just that, right? I think he was.
No, it was.
Oh, you know who tried the heroin? Fury.
Grandpa. Yeah,
Sorry, that's where I got the heroin.
Yeah, let's not confuse Grandpa with Rev, okay? That's
not at all.
I'm surprised Fury's not your number 3.
Who, Fury? No, he's too much of a pop.
Well, no, because he's an addict. So I thought he would be your number 3.
Well, he's not an addict anymore. I don't know why I like them. I like them.
Okay. So let's talk about.
Let's rein it in. Okay, we off the rails.
I.M. has his AGA in this story, which is really great because I.M. is like the sweetest.
At least we get one thing. We get one happy thing.
And but what do we think of his love interest? Oh, and I love like when he first gets together. I gotta mention this because it's a funny part. But when he first gets together with Machen, he comes back to the mansion, and Lassiter's like, "You got laid," you know, and like, Rage and B were just.
I love how he called
Lassiter ain't no good. They were at the dinner table. Like, he looked dead at that man and said, "You got laid." I was like, Lassiter, you could have like put him to the side. He couldn't help it. He couldn't help himself. He just let it fly. He got laid good though. Like, it had to be like shit-eating grin on his face and all that, because they did things. They did the things. Okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
All the things.
Yeah, so what do we think of Machen? You know, she stands up to sex. I think she's stronger than she thinks she is. Like, she's like, "How dare you?" You know, but she's really cool. So what do we think about her?
I like her. I think that she's going to be a very good queen, because she is the complete opposite of her mother. She's fair. And what shows her character the most is that she goes by the name, say it, Machen. I can't say this name. God help me. But which means maid or servant, and it just kind of like proves that she doesn't think that she's any better than anyone else, and that to me makes a very good like leader. And I think that she'd make an excellent queen.
So she lies to Iam in the beginning, you know. I mean, she's actually really the princess in disguise. Do you think that she should have told him that she was the princess? I kind of think that, I understand why she would have waited till after they have sex, because then he probably would have turned her down, and she was just like totally in love with him. So I think she was good to wait, but I think she waited too long. So what do you think?
So I'm gonna go back and answer the what we think of her part. I really enjoyed seeing a matriarchal society instead of a patriarchal society. It was really, really a great change. You know, and I think you need that kind of you know, balance, so that you see that it's not always about the dude. So I really enjoyed that. And I do think that she's the type of person that can lead well. But when she met Iam, I get why. I always say that. I get why. She had this persona that allowed her to move freely. And that was not something that she had been afforded before. Nobody could look upon her. She was, just trying to like get from one day to the next. And she was destroyed by the fact that all her choices were taken away from her. And she knew that Iam probably wouldn't have done the things that he did with and to her if he had known she was the princess. All that said, I still think at some point it should have come up. He shouldn't have had to like find out the way that he found out. I know we're about to talk about that in a moment. I wish she would have gone ahead and told him. And he started doing stuff to her, and she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna tell him this time," and she never got to. But I wish she would have told him up front.
Yeah,
I do. At least the second time.
I agree. I feel like in the beginning, I understand why she didn't, obviously, because he would have never followed through. He would have been like, "Oh, hell no. You cute and all, girl, but nope."
Would his bond have eventually trumped that?
Maybe, but
he didn't bond her until.
No, they were in the cell. He was having a thing. He like her scent or whatever. Didn't even know what she looked like. Didn't care. Still wanted her.
I don't think he bonded yet.
He did.
So I think he bonded while they was boning in the cabin. I think that's when he.
I think it started.
When do you remember her saying that she remembered his scent? Because I remember her acknowledging that his spicy scent, but I think it was.
She said when they were in the cabin, he said, "My scent all over you," and you could have perceived that two ways, like the sex scent. but I perceived it as the bonding scene.
Yeah, but I think it already had started because he's
definitely he liked her and he was interested, but I think he bonded with her, like legit bonded with her in the cabin.
Well, no, I understand what you're saying, but I think it started because it's like he's asking her to have sex with him by meeting him at a cabin. Like that was the whole purpose, and she knew that. So I think that goes outside of his character. So he had to have been bond, like at least the beginning of a bond. Then maybe it came out fully when they were in the cabin together, but he definitely still already had going on. But he kind of denied because he never had that before. He sort of didn't understand it either until they had that.
Who was it when she was like, I've never, and he like, I ain't never either.
I know, sweet.
Mm-hmm. we about to find out together, baby.
And he's
anyway,
like, oh.
I enjoyed that scene. Yeah. Oh my God, that was so good. Okay, I'm sorry. There's other questions I should get.
What eventually happens is that the Shahisby, they call the audience house. Somebody from there calls and makes a threat against all vampires, saying if you don't return Trez at midnight tomorrow, we're going to attack. Do you think that they really would have gone through with the attack?
I think they probably would have tried and they would have lost.
Yeah.
And
I mean, would never have advised them.
I don't think they would have got off the out of the realm. I don't think they would have made it because the sympaths thrive on that kind of shit. And I don't think they would, because they're next door neighbors, right? So I don't think they would have gotten off, but I do think they would have tried it because she was ballsy enough to try it, but I don't think it would have been successful.
I agree because I feel like they were already battle planning. And you know how they sent Lasseter over there to check everything out. So they were already, they would have known exactly where to go, what to do, where to stop. They had all their plans together. So had Trez not disappeared, they would have been ready to do it.
But it's interesting that, Sex didn't know about it and that, and he's just like, I would never have advised them to do that because, regardless of, the shadows having tricks, there's still going to be so much bloodshed and that's not going to do any good anyway. So what's
the volume, like they might have stood a chance with just the sympaths, but they were never going to make it against the sympaths and the vampires. And, they weren't going to, they were definitely not going to win.
So there was a funny line in this book when Hayam finds out about the princess, Machen being.
I know exactly what you're about to say.
I know, it's fine. Actually,
we were laughing.
And he was just, basically making it sound like, he seduced her or whatever, which wasn't the case. And he's just like, so you slipped and fell on my dick? Is that it? I mean,
literally, it was, you just slipped and fell on my dick.
Yeah, she said that because she kind of made it sound like, she had, made poor choices and, kind of accidental. And he like you cracked up. I really needed to hear that. And I know that we should be angry at Sex for ratting her out. Like he came in yeah, I see you met the princess, it was kind of fucked up, but I thoroughly enjoyed that scene as well because they kind of.
Well, I mean, you gotta see it from his point of view because, from Sex's point of view, because at this point he still believed that Trez was gonna come back and be her mate, basically, and how is he gonna be her mate when she's been banging his brother? How is that even possible? So I can see where he's coming from with that and outing her because at that point, she kind of messed everything up.
Yeah.
Well, she should have told him, right? She should have. I mean, I get why again, but she had a couple opportunities to tell him who she was, and we see that happen with these ladies. These females, they go, oh, I don't want to tell them that I'm a virgin. I don't want to tell them I'm a princess. I don't want to tell, and it takes away the male's choices. And I'm never gonna be in favor of that. Because, just because men are usually willing participants with these ladies, like, don't take away their choices, and deal with the consequences. And in both situations, it was because of sex. It wasn't like, it was some life or death situation. I just, you see that, and it should be that they're having honest conversation. So sex was wrong for just outing it, but she was wrong for not telling them.
Yeah. So, okay, so Mei Chin ends up going back to the territory, and she goes to the library, or the astrological library. I guess it's different than the regular, and finds out that she has this hunch. It seems like she has like a hunch about what's really going on, and because of something her mother said. Her mother says, that you can be replaced. I can alter your destiny, and she was like, oh, I have to really look at the star charts from when the Trez and I am were born, and she finds out that I am really is her betrothed, or should be. So I don't know, it's like so much happens. I don't know, you guys want to talk about it? Like at one point I am's like, I don't want to ever see her again. I mean, it's a whole thing that happens. So do you think that he would have ever really left her?
No, because he was a bonded male. Because at the end, a bonded male is not going to leave her. So he was angry and disappointed in the situation, but he was going to definitely come back. There was no doubt about it.
Yeah, because he was making escape plans. Like, I'm going to take my brother, I'm going to take this chick, and we rolling out. And, he wasn't the type of person to just make plans with anyone outside of Trez. Even when Selena visited Trez, I don't remember if it was right before she passed away or after he was on the cleansing, getting the cleansing. But she mentioned that, the one he truly loves, like, they love each other so much. For him to include her, he wasn't going to be able to leave her. There was no way he was going to leave her. So he could have fooled himself. And I felt like they had like that Beth and Wrath fallout where it was like, I'm leaving, you come to bed,
Yeah.
Right.
So we get to where Trez winds up going back to the territory. Before really, I mean, he could have just waited 5 minutes and found out.
Just 5 minutes.
Just 5 minutes, he would have been in the clear.
So he goes and he's going to get this cleansing, and and then he gets a visit from Selena from the Fade. And do you think that was enough closure, for that situation?
No.
I think there was never going to be enough.
No.
We could have, like it could have went on. The book could have been 75,000 pages. And whenever she passed away, we were going to be like, that was not enough. So, I think the romantics at heart that we're always going to want to see the heroine and the hero win. And there was just no winning in their situation. There was just no winning. So yeah, no, I believe that it was closure. I don't think we'll ever see it as enough.
Yeah. So let's talk about sex a little bit more, because he was really into the stars and believed the queen and everything, and even let the high priest and whoever it was that helped kill his daughter. But then when he found out the queen lied, he killed her. I feel like he became the hero of the story. So I mean, really, ultimately. So what do you think of that? Because he killed the queen, and he's a badass.
He definitely was. He definitely was a hero. And he basically got his revenge on the queen, which gave me great satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he definitely was a hero. And I actually I think the last time, last book, we were wondering, if he really truly believed everything that the queen was doing and all this stuff. And you saw that no matter what, he was still like tenderhearted to I.M. and Trez to an extent. Like he was like, he could have made them go back. Like he really honestly could have made them go back, but he kept making deals with them and stuff. It's almost like he knew something was off. And
yeah, it was like his heart of hearts. And I think
yeah,
when his daughter was killed, I think that also really changed him profoundly, you know, and you know,
it definitely broke him.
For sure.
Yeah, but I don't think he would have ever betrayed her if he hadn't found out that, you know, all the things that he believed, and he thought they were doing it for the good of the people. And I think he's just this upstanding person that is you know, that is all about, we're going to do what's best for the Sahid. We're going to do what's best for the Shadows. And that really, like that moment when he had to decide to kill her, I think he cared about her too. You know, I do think he cared about the queen. I don't think, like, I could tell he was kind of hurt when he found out that she had made some decisions without him. Because he was kind of like, what you mean war, an act of war? Like, I didn't hear nothing about, you know, like, how could I possibly not hear about an act of war? So I think he was kind of like, he was never going to do anything, regardless of how he felt, against what was right. So it was very cool to see that, that, you know, type of person that was so loyal to something that he would do whatever needed to be done.
Yeah. So the twins, after this whole ordeal, Therese and I.M., they come back to the mansion. And what do you think of Laster's reaction to them coming back?
He is so fucking funny, but I just, you know what? He really moved me. We were talking about the male on male interaction in the book and how supportive they were of one another. And his reaction was so amazing. Right up to the point where he said, "Get your hand off my ass." I was like feeling it. I was about to cry and shit. I was so glad he said that because I ain't had no more tears left. Like,
yeah, I agree. I agree because, you know, the scenes with him are usually so, they're usually just funny and comical, and we don't get to see any like real true serious moments with him. Like there was a couple in Tori's book, you know, but more or less he's like the loudest on the page because he's always the funniest on the page. And anytime he's in a scene, he dominates it with his humor. To see him in a serious mode, I really, really liked seeing that aspect from him because we don't get to see it very often. And I love it. And motherfucker travels on sunshine, bro. He like travels on rays of sunshine.
Okay, best friend. Okay, like this is my best friend. Like if I ever was gonna hang out and get drunk with somebody and just like have a rip roaring fucking time, it would be me and Lassiter. That is my homeboy. I love him. I truly love him.
So, this book.
That's the book
again.
I'm so glad that we're done.
So, you know, at the end, Trez says, I'm never leaving you. So that was, you know, what do we think about that? It's kind of a vow to his brother. You know, don't worry.
I think it was the same vow that he made for him, right? So in the beginning of the book, I wrote it down somewhere here. I'm here and I'm not leaving you. And it was the same vow that I said to Trez in the beginning. And to come full circle, to be there for him. So now he ran out of like reasons to live. And so now he's living for his brother. And I'm a sucker. I'm the supernatural queen. So I love the shows and the stories where it's like this brotherly bond. I mean, outside of sister bonds, because girls were always we're notorious for being emotional and that stuff. So when we see it with men, I gravitate towards it. So the brotherly bond, I just love it. And it's done so well with Trez and I am.
Mhm.
That's all I got.
That's yeah, it was really nice that they still had each other. And it was hard to see him, walk away alone. But I did enjoy that he was able to see I am happy, because I am has sacrificed so much for him in the past. So it's really great for I am. For Trez, yeah, I got nothing else.
I know.
So are you guys ever going to read the book again?
Fuck
Nope.
no.
I mean, I love every moment of the Black Dagger Brotherhood, and things are hard sometimes. But this was the hardest for me. Like I cried when Wellesley died, but it was like one moment in the book. I feel like I cried from the beginning of this book to the end of this book, and I was like, I got tears on my notes. Like I couldn't make out some of the words. Like I'm sitting there like writing it like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. Now I will revisit parts.
I think the only other book that hit me as emotional as this one was Lovermind with John and Hex. And we at least got a happily ever after with that. So my torment was no, I cried in their scenes, right? And like that stuff, but that was the only other book that made me cry. But at least
you said when we were doing that, when you were like, oh my God, this is the saddest book, I was like, no, this is not the saddest book.
Forgot about this. When I said that, I had forgot about this book.
Oh,
I think subconsciously I blocked it out. Like I didn't want to think about it,
I had a sense of dread. Like I was like, I can't. Like I delayed starting it because I was like, I'm just gonna try to plow through this in one day, and it didn't work because I had to take breaks because my heart was broken again. You think I'd get over it? You think I'd be okay, but I'm not. I'm not okay.
So
this is our second time reading it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I can't even with this book. So the next time we will be talking about The Beast, which isn't as sad.
It's sad. It's got sad moments, but it's not as sad.
But but we will be also. God, we got to fit the Jackal in there somewhere, right? So
yeah, this is the week that the Jackal came out. I haven't received my virtual signing copy yet. It says it's en route to me, and it'll be here tomorrow. So I'm gonna squeeze it in somewhere. But we're gonna play these in order. But just know that we didn't let a book come out that we didn't read. We shall be reading it.
We definitely read it. Oh, and then also we actually decorated our bedrooms in the mansion, and we can AJ here is our techie person, so she's gonna link our bedrooms to this video, so you guys can see how we plan on living with our males in our bedrooms in the mansion.
It's not just my bedroom. Me and Reb picked out every bit of that, and we have the fur on the bed to prove it, because he always chilly, so we had to have.
Where did you put Elena while he's in your bed?
She's under the bed. She's like,
who's Elena?
Is she under the bed?
Who? Did you say Elena? I don't even know that girl. I don't even know her. She keeps pretending to be his felon, and I have had it. I don't know who started that vicious rumor, but no. Don't bring her up anymore. She upsets me.
All right. And then we also had promised doing our 5 scenes, but each our 5 favorite scenes. But we realized that that would be a whole show because
we'll have a whole favorites show maybe at the end. What do you guys think? At the end.
At the end. Yeah.
At the end.
So just so you know that we didn't forget, we're just gonna we'll do it later because it really calls for a full-on show.
Yeah.
For sure. We had 2 hours tonight.
Yep. And
Yes.
I discovered a favorite scene reading this book.
The Jackal, or
So hold on to it.
No.
Hold on to it so that we
I
can
know,
get to it.
yeah.
Yeah, that'll be cool because it's so many like good scenes that I love that are in future books that we haven't covered yet. So I really think doing it at the end is probably the best thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Mhm.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so we're sitting here making plans as we're recording.
We involved everyone in our plans.
We have
You
to
guys
share
are
with
part
them.
of it. Right.
So
See this time and be like, fuck those guys. I am not spending 2 hours and 15 minutes with those crazy chicks. But I hope they do. I hope they do.
all right.
All right, Aya, do you have our book?
Huh?
Do you have our book?
Oh, it's over on the shelf.
The Beast? Oh, were we showing The Beast?
Yeah,
It's okay. It's okay.
But I had to like get up, so I'm not gonna do it.
I can't get up. I'm so sad. And it's tomorrow. Well, you'll see it next time, lovely people.
Yep. So, all right. Well, until next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.